This is a real experience from when I was younger. I'd want to say the age, but I don't remember specifically, as I remember it like it was yesterday and not years ago. When I was younger, I would experience more paranormal things because to my younger self, it seemed real, but I did know deep down that it must have been something else. I was getting into all the ghost stuff by reading books about it because I wasn't able to search on the internet from the fact that I didn't even have an actual phone until I was much older. I had these two friends called Max and Charlie. Now, they weren't just ghosts I made up. I can still describe them as they were. Max would come to me as a young boy with dirty blonde hair that swooped over his bright blue eyes. His skin was a little pale with some dark freckles on his arms and face. He was also a lot taller than me. Charlie also came to me as a young boy who had dark curly brown hair that came to just above his brown eyes. Compared to Max, he had darker skin and was also a little shorter than him. I used to talk to them about everything, and they were literally my best friends. We would go on car rides, and I would talk to them in the back seat, and my mum would ask who I was talking to and always give a weird face. It didn't surprise me though, because nobody ever believed anything I said or told them, so I didn't really care that much. So on a day that felt like it was forever with them around, I noticed that they wouldn't stay after the sun went down. They would tell me their mum wants them home and they can't stay, so left every night. One particular night, I had begged them to stay and hang out, and I can't remember which one had left early, but one of them did, stating they were going to get in trouble if they stayed. Thankfully, the other one stayed, and throughout the night, we talked and hung out like normal kids. Suddenly, the boy that had stayed had got a terrifying look on his face and looked out my window and told me, "He's coming. I need to go." As he left, I looked out my window, and right as I did, in front of me was a face staring back, smiling, and Lord, it scared the hell out of me. I closed my blinds and backed up in shock. Right then, I heard a loud tapping on my window, and curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled the blinds all the way up, and right in my window was a woman, two boys, one little girl, and a man right behind them, towering them. They all had long, scary smiles on their faces, and the man's was the biggest. All of their eyes were widened and staring directly at me. I can't remember if I had run out my room or pulled my blinds back down or whatever, but I remember being scared as hell in that moment. For a while after that, I never saw those boys again, and I sort of missed them being around. I'm sure this happened in a different home, but I had been walking towards my brother's room, and the hall bathroom was right beside his bedroom door. The door was open, and it was nothing but dark, with a little light coming in. Something stopped me walking, and I had turned to look into the bathroom, and I saw him again. That huge, long smile across his face, and this time he wasn't a figure of a man. He was just a dark mass growing bigger as he smiled at me. His eyes glowed with a reddish yellow, and his head turned to look at me, and just at that moment I took off back into the living room. What was strange though is that when I got back into the living room, I saw my grandpa, who had passed away not long ago, standing in front of what was once his old grandfather clock. It was a perfect image of him, but I knew it couldn't be him. I started screaming, trying to tell my mum and dad about what had happened, but of course, nobody believed me. I still do see him sometimes, but he doesn't affect me as much as he did back then. But I hope you all enjoyed my story. I still have yet to see or hear from those boys again, and I wonder if I will ever see them again. About a year ago, I was at a garage sale. There was lots of stuff there. Toys, furniture, cutlery, etc. But what caught my eye the most was a painting. But this painting wasn't quite normal. It was a painting of a clown holding a red balloon, and he was wearing a purple and yellow suit with a big red rose. It felt strange when you looked at it, like its eyes were staring into your soul, or its eyes followed you when you walked past it. I thought it was designy and fun, and I'm an artist, so I decided I would take it home. It had a piece of blue tape on the back. $5 was written in black. I gave the man $5, but before I handed it to him, he said in a gruff voice, "Are you sure you want this?" "Yes," I replied. "Are you positive?" "Yes," I said again, but in a more questioning tone. "Good luck," the man said as I handed him the cash. That was strange, I thought, as I loaded it into the back seat, but I ignored it. When I got home, I decided I would hang it in the hallway in which my room was on. I grabbed a hammer and a box of nails and banged one of them into the wall. I picked up the painting and hung it on the nail. I liked where it was and thought it added to the very bland hallway. I went downstairs and walked into my study. I sat down at my drawing table and started sketching. I tried focusing on the drawing, but my mind was still on the painting. I subconsciously drew a house with a red balloon tied to the mailbox. The strangest part was that the house looked an awful like my house. Even the tree in the front yard was the same. I turned to another page of my sketch pad, but as I did, I noticed something outside. I looked out onto the street, and there was a red balloon tied to the mailbox. I got up and walked down my driveway to get rid of it. It was probably just some kids trying to play a prank on me, I thought, as I untied the balloon and brought it in with me into the house so I could pop it. When I turned around from the mailbox, I thought I saw a figure move from behind the window of my study. I let go of the balloon and let it drift away as I ran towards the door. I walked inside and grabbed an umbrella from beside the door and walked swiftly to the left into my study. Nothing. There was no one there. Not a single thing was different. It was getting late, so I made myself dinner. The night carried on like any other night. The only thing was that when I was walking to my room, I noticed the clown in the painting looked like it had been shifted to the right. I ignored it and blamed it on how tired I was. I had had a very long day. The next morning, I made myself a cup of coffee and decided I was going to draw to start the day. As I was walking to my study, I noticed something strange about the painting that was hung next to the front door. The painting was of a beautiful courtyard of a huge manor. In one of the windows, there was a balloon floating. I shook my head in disbelief. When I looked back at the painting, the balloon was gone. The next day, I was walking down the hallway and noticed that the clown in the painting looked different. It looked sadder and not as happy. I decided I was going to do a quick touch-up and fix his frown. I took the painting into my study, but something was strange. On the blank page of my sketch pad was written in scribbly writing, "Hi." I must have done that subconsciously, I thought. I tore off the page and threw it into the wastebasket. I set the painting down on the table at the back of the study. I turned around to grab some paint and paintbrushes, but when I turned back around, the clown was gone. All there was a blank canvas and frame. What the hell? I exclaimed. I grabbed the painting and walked outside. I opened the garbage bin and threw it inside. This was getting really weird. The next day, I went to the store, but when I opened the front door, there was the painting. And this time, the clown was there, and it looked enraged. I grabbed it and put it in the passenger seat, and as I pulled out of the driveway, I threw it out onto the curb. I got back home at 7 o'clock, and the sun was setting. I grabbed the groceries and got out of the car. As I approached the door, I noticed it was slightly ajar. I must have forgotten to lock it. Yeah, I forgot to lock it and close it all the way. I pushed open the door with my foot, but I was still skeptical. Luckily, the painting was still right where I left it, on the curb. I walked into the kitchen and dropped the groceries on the floor out of shock. On the counter, there was my sketch pad. Written on it in scribbly writing was, "Don't you like games?" Below the writing was a big sad face with hollowed eyes. I pulled out my phone and punched 911 into it. All I got was static. I saw out the corner of my eye a figure. I scream and run down the hallway to the front door. I jumped into my car and slammed the keys into the ignition. Pop went the engine as I turned the keys. I looked up and saw the same figure but in a clearer light. It was the clown from the painting holding his balloon. Come on, damn it. Finally, I got the car to start and pulled out of the driveway. I sped down the street and looked in the rearview mirror to see if that thing was still chasing me. Luckily, it wasn't. I looked back at the road and I noticed an object in the road. I slammed on the brakes and got out of the car to see what it was. There, in the middle of the road, was the painting. The clown was nowhere to be seen in the painting, but written in dark red substance was, "He tried to warn you." That's when I saw that damn clown standing 30 feet in front of me waving. I got in the car and went full speed towards him. He stepped out of the way just in time, and for the first time, I saw his face close up. It was disgustingly realistic. He had purple hair, a big red nose dripping with some kind of red liquid. His skin was grey and leathery looking. His eyes were bright green with lizard-like pupils and purple veins. I kept driving down the road for hours until the sun came up, and I didn't stop until I was out of state. I moved across the county to California, where I now live. I've taken precautions as to not see that thing again. Lights out by 7 o'clock. If you see a clown, stay as far away from it as possible. And most importantly, do not go to any garage sales or buy any paintings of any kind. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my first video with my new microphone, so I hope you could tell a difference because sound quality is very important to me. Let me know what you thought about the two stories down below, and if you do have any stories you'd like to send in, please send to the email on screen, as I'd love to read out some of your stories. But other than that, I wish you guys all the best, and I hope to catch you in the next video. See ya.